you the stage. Have fun, man.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the BSides committee for inviting me here, and would like to thank you guys for your interest in my talk. So the topic for today will be about crowdsourced security, and which is a trending topic in the past few years, and how it can be like an efficient and cost-effective approach in order for you guys to augment or complement your internal security processes. All right, so let me introduce myself first. So my name is Yassine Aboukir. I grew up in Morocco. I'm based in France now. I'm a security analyst at HackerOne. Do you guys know HackerOne? Anyone here? Oh, that's perfect then. Yeah, you know HackerOne, definitely. Anyways, yeah, so HackerOne is like a platform. It's like a vulnerability coordination platform and a bug bounty where we connect businesses with hackers. So, yeah, so I'm also a white hacker. So basically my role at HackerOne is to do triage, which means we validate security reports we receive from hackers and white hat hackers and security experts, and we manage bug bounty programs as well. In my spare time, I'm also a white hat hacker. I use the HackerOne platform to hack on different companies. It's so much fun. I mean, you get to put into practice your own skills, and it's very challenging, and you make some extra cash on this side. So currently I'm ranking 12th on the HackerOne leaderboard, over 100,000 hackers, which is good. I hacked on Facebook, I hacked on Google, Microsoft, Twitter, etc. All right, so let's get into it. So the agenda for today, we'll be talking first about regulations, compliance, and how penetration testing is helping with that. We're going to talk about crowdsourced security, which is the main topic for today. And what is that? Teach me some history. We're going to talk about how the whole bug bounty thing started. Then we're going to dive into how crowdsourced security can be efficient and cost-effective solution. Then we're going to talk about some of the bug bounty drawbacks, and yeah, then we're going to talk about how bug bounty can actually be fit into your software development life cycle. And finally, an interesting part where we're going to talk how you guys can launch a successful and healthy bug bounty program. All right, so regulations, compliance, and penetration testing. So yeah, businesses with online presence today and businesses that deal with all kind of user data or user personal information, they have to be compliant with different regulations in place. Like, I'll give you the example. I chose these two examples, the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, which applies to companies that actually deal with payment information. So the PCI DSS is actually mandatory, like for online merchants, and we also have the GDPR. You guys all know the GDPR. I guess you got that wave of spam back in April or May. So yeah, GDPR is an European regulation. We would fine up, in case of a security breach, they would fine the company up to 20 million euros or up to 4% of their annual worldwide turnover. So what companies, companies have to be compliant with these regulations. And one of the solutions they refer to is security audits, and penetration testing is one of those traditional approaches that they actually do or conduct. So, but the thing here is that penetration testing has been like, it's not been really an efficient or cost-effective solution, and it has so many limitations that so many companies now have been trying other alternatives. So one of those alternatives is crowdsourced security, which we're going to be talking about today. All right. So yeah, crowdsourced security. What is that? So basically, before we talk about crowdsourced security, you have to define what is crowdsourcing. It's pretty basic. Crowdsourcing is when a company has a task, has a problem or a project to accomplish, and what they do is they seek the help of a large community, people from all over the world asking for help. It's like the freelancing platforms like Upwork, if you know it. It's like you have a project you want to accomplish, you ask for help, and you pay them in exchange for their help. So crowdsourced security actually is in line with this definition, we talk about crowdsourced security, or what HackerOne actually, they define it as hacker-powered security. So, yeah, when we talk about crowdsourced security, it's a general term, but here today we're more interested in what we call the bug bounty programs, which is a form of crowdsourced security. A bug bounty program is a sort when company actually ask the help of hackers, or white hat hackers, or security experts. They ask them to find vulnerabilities in their products, their web services, and in exchange for each valid and unique vulnerability that they find, they actually get a reward that we call a bounty. So that's why it's called bug bounty program. So when we talk about bug bounty program, we have different programs. We have two sorts of programs, actually. We have private program. It's when you only invite like a selected few hackers, like only like about 10 or 20 hackers that they are like vetted. And when we have a public program where we just announce your program publicly. Hey guys, if you want to make money, come hack our program, our products or services. So this is a private and public program. And below here, I have a quote or a testimonial that I really like, and it summarizes the whole purpose of bug bounty programs. It says, hackers have become an essential part of our security ecosystem. This quote is from General Motors, Jeffrey. So this is really important because it says like, instead of like fighting white hat hackers and considering them like malicious adversaries, you actually incorporate them as a component in your security ecosystem. You actually work with hackers in order to improve your security. So yeah, that's why I really love this quote because it summarizes the whole concept of bug bounty programs. All right, teach me some history. Here's some history about the bug bounty programs, how it all started. It was back in 1995 when Netscape, you guys all know Netscape, the browser, they launched a very premature program, and with asking users to actually find bugs on Netscape 2.0. And they had like a limited budget, like 15K bucks, and anyway, they like operated this program until they released the next version of Netscape. Then the idea didn't make its way to other companies, so they just ditched it. And it's not until 2002 when iDefense, they launched an initiative where they actually ask hackers to report security vulnerabilities they find on softwares and applications. And what would iDefense would do? They play an intermediary role, and they would report it back to the vendor and pay the researcher. So then, it's not until 2004 Mozilla, they started their own program. They were paying minimum $500 for every security vulnerability that you find in their browser, which is Firefox. All right. Then it's not until 2010 that Google started their very massive and huge program. They promised to pay up to $20K for a critical, which inspired the other companies like Facebook to start their own program as well. Nowadays, we have Microsoft. We have all these companies that are running their program on HackerOne. We have Salesforce, Snapchat, Slack, Twitter, Airbnb, Starbucks, Shopify, Instacart, a lot of companies. And what is amazing actually is that even the freaking US military has started their own program on HackerOne. They started to hack the Pentagon, hack the US force and hack the US Army. This was huge actually, that this year actually in Las Vegas during DEF CON, the US Air Force actually threw their first live hacking event where they gathered top hackers from the world to hack on their services, web services, the public-facing ones, which was really amazing and a very turning point in the industry. All right, so let's talk about efficiency and cost effectiveness. So it's not really easy to measure the efficiency and cost effectiveness of security crowdsourced programs, but I tried to elaborate this basic model where that stresses out on the fact that adoption of crowd security actually results in better efficiency, which is measured by the number of valid and unique vulnerabilities identified as part of the bug bounty program. It also results in a better cost effectiveness, which is measured by how better the results you achieve at a lower cost compared with alternative solutions like penetration testing. But this whole positive relation actually depends on the level of crowdsourcing, like if you're running a private or a public program. All right, so I gathered some data online about some of different companies that are running programs like Facebook, Google. They blog about their stats, about their program, and Salesforce, Uber, Twitter. They have these stats publicly accessible on HackerOne, for example. So as you can see here, you can see that Google, for example, they've been running their program for 7 years, and so far they paid over $12 million for about 300 hackers, which is amazing. And they the bug bounty program actually helped them identify more than 1,230 bugs, which is crazy. Apparently, it's I don't expect a penetration. Google would pay way more than $12 million in penetration testing engagements, and I would not even expect it to uncover this many bugs, to be honest. And this is just Google. Let's skip to Twitter, for example. For Yahoo, for example, they paid $2 million, and they've been running their program for 5 years, and that helped them. The bug bounty program actually helped them find 4.5K bugs. That's amazing. That's really huge. And they only paid $2 million, which is not really a big thing if you consider how large Yahoo is and how much money they make. So let's break it down. Let's do some math. For example, I'm going to compute the average number of bugs they find on a yearly basis and the average annual bounties they pay. In Google, they paid $12K in total, which means if I break it down, that means they pay $1.5 million a year for about 176 bugs. That is a good deal, to be honest. And Yahoo, they paid $2 million in total, and the program helps them find about 800 bugs, which is crazy, actually. I don't expect a penetration. I'm not against penetration testing at all. I think penetration testing is really important, to be honest. But bug bounty program is really helping augment the internal processes you have in place. So they only pay $300,000 a year for this bug bounty for running this bug bounty program, which is not really bad. All right. So I've talked to about 25 employees from various notable organizations, and I've asked them about how much they pay for penetration testing on a yearly basis. And as you can see, it does not really come at a cheap price. For example, for a medium corporation organization, they pay from a range from 20K to 40K. And some of them actually pay more than 80K a year for penetration testing, which is really not easy and not really cheap, given that the penetration testing sometimes can yield 0 results. It's not an obligation to find a bug, but you just do an assessment which might not yield any results at all. Anyways, here I did some a basic comparison between penetration testing and running a bug bounty program, and I used different criteria. For example, time. A penetration testing, the average of a penetration testing engagement is actually 2 weeks. But for a bug bounty program, it's actually a continuous assessment. You are running a program continuously, and you have researchers, you have security experts and white hackers poking around your assets continuously, constantly. So you have them cover your ass all the time, while a penetration testing only lasts for 2 weeks. All right, let's talk about the scope. All right, for this scope penetration testing, professionals, they make sure to cover the whole scope contractually. But there is the time constraint, which means they might not actually cover the whole scope in depth. But for a bug bounty program, these researchers do not give you the assurance that they will cover the whole scope. But one thing is that these researchers they don't have this time constraints, which means they might come back to hacking on your assets all the time, which means that they might actually cover the scope in greater depth, actually, compared to penetration testing. All right, for the cost. For a pen test, actually, you pay for the hours. You pay for the effort. Like, the professionals, they've been working their asses off, like, for 2 weeks. You have to pay them for the hours. It does not even, it's not even necessary that they found something or not. That you pay them because they work their asses off. It doesn't matter. But for the bug bounty program, which is amazing about it, is that you actually pay, for results. You pay for the bugs. If you find a bug, I'm gonna pay you for that bug. If you don't find anything, it's not my problem. The bug bounty program actually is results driven, which is good. And that's why it's really cost effective. Like, you get a better results at a lower price. For the personnel, for a pen test, actually, the whole engagement is probably on average assigned 2 professionals to do the penetration testing. But for the bug bounty program, crowdsourcing your security means you're actually seeking the help of a large pool of researchers, like so many hackers hacking on your applications and products. You have all different kind of skill sets hacking on you, which is amazing. And for the competitiveness, for the pen test, there is a lack of competitiveness. Like, you'll have you and your coworker doing a pen test. There is no competition between you who finds the bug or not. But in the bug bounty programs, everyone wants a reward. Everyone wants that cash. So there is a huge competition between security researchers who's gonna find the first bug, which is really amazing because it's gonna help you improve your security. Anyways, for the methodology, professionals, they have this really standard checklist, the OWASP top 10, I don't know, probably very old, not even updated. But for the researchers, actually for the bug bounty programs, people that are hacking on your program, they are up to date to the latest research, the latest hacking techniques, and they always sharpen their methodologies, their recon methodologies to find the craziest bugs on your programs, which is really amazing, and they're really up to date. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking out of my experience as well, because I do this actually. I hack on myself on different programs. So I always make sure to sharpen my reconnaissance and find, invent some creative ways of finding different bugs that nobody would find actually. All right. Yeah, so I've talked to the 25 employees and asked them about what they like about bug bounties, and they say that we actually are very satisfied of the large pool of researchers. They are satisfied of the fact that bug bounty programs are result-oriented, and they are satisfied of the ongoing testing, the constant security assessment they are getting, the constant feedback they are receiving. But is it really a perfect approach? I might have been painting it in gold, but actually there are some drawbacks about the crowdsourced security that I'm gonna be talking about now. One of the most annoying things about running a crowdsourced program is that you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of invalid submissions, especially if you're running a public program. What I mean by that is that sometimes you receive some issues like, hey, you have actually port 80 open on your server. You have port 44.3 open. What the hell? That is not even a security issue. Or you receive you have an SSL cookie that does not have any HTTP only or secure flag. So yeah, you have to be ready to receive a lot of noise from the community, because there are some script kiddies out there. There are some beginners. They're just starting to learn a few things here and there. Anyways, and you're gonna receive a lot of poor quality submissions, and by that I mean you get a report. It does not have any details. It does not have any description. Even if it has a description, no POC, no proof of concept. So you have to go back and forth and discuss with the researcher until you extract all the needed information out of him. And the third one is non-respect of the program scope. okay, so you actually you launch your program. You tell the hackers, I want you to hack only on the core application. But some people would actually go out of scope. They would go and enumerate all of your subdomains. They would hack on them, even if those subdomains actually point into third-party services. So they end up hacking on your partners, which really sucks. I know. So this is one of the third annoying points here. And then you have automated scanning. Some people, they don't know how to hack, so they just buy an Acunetix license and they just run it against your server. So you receive a lot of requests from the automated scanners, which really sucks again. Because if you wanted to run an automated scanner, you would have done it yourself. You would not need a bug bounty program. So I know it sucks. Anyways, there is also irresponsible disclosure, and I think Edwin has talked about it. Like, some people may not be very they may not accept your decision. They may not accept your security assessment of the report. So they get pissed off and they take the finding and the blog about it publicly, probably to brag about it. I don't know what their motivation is, but that could happen, but not all time actually. Anyways, so yeah, you have also the non-respect of the company's decision. So you get a report, you fix it. Then you reward. It's a low report. You give it the minimum reward. You give it $100. But then this researcher he did not accept your decision. I want $200, sir. So yeah, they might not respect your decision, and yeah, it happens a lot of time. I do a lot of triage, and sometimes we have to deal with this kind of behavior, but you have it boils down to the communication. You have to try to convince the researcher and give some solid arguments why you paid them that much money, or why you rated the report as low, not medium. So it's all about communications. And then you have a lot of professionalism. Yeah, sometimes you might actually get insulted. Yeah, I actually have this screenshot here, and Edwin talked about it. Yeah, this is from Uber program. And so Uber, what they did is that this hacker, he submitted a report, which is not really a security issue. It was like bullshit. And it was bullshit, and it was out of scope. He did not respect the scope. Then they closed it as informative, and he was so pissed off. What he did is that he called them the worst insult. It's like, bloody mother, blah, blah. I'm gonna skip that part. You taxi driver. He was an Uber employee, so he called them a taxi driver. And this is a really popular joke in the bug bounty industry. I actually have a sticker here that says taxi driver. So it was really popular. Anyway, so you have some people that really lack professionalism, and they would go beyond and insult you and do whatever it takes just to piss you off as well. And also you're going to get a lot of spam, especially if you're asking researchers to do their testing on your production environment. What I mean by spam is that some people would actually just comment bullshit on your public forums. They would just send contact forms as well, just for testing. So you should expect a lot of spam. Anyways, how does bug bounty fit into your software development life cycle? I think you're all familiar with this software development life cycle here, which is like a process that consists of different stages that developers actually follow in order to produce high quality software. And the thing about the SDLC is that you have the testing right at the end, before the deployment. So what happens is that this actually puts so much pressure on the release date, which means that, you want to deploy the application, but you still need to do some security testing, which may take a while, and as I said, it puts pressure on the release date, which might result in conflicts between departments. But, I mean, in the era of agile development right now, we're talking about agile, it's not really good. And that's why we have started talking about the security development life cycle, which means that you actually do all the testing throughout the whole process. But if you're doing this, the security development life cycle, you are already in the right direction. But the thing about this the security development life cycle is that it also presents some drawbacks and limitations that we're going to talk about next. One of them is the increasing attack surfaces. You might have done your risk assessment, your threat modeling, but there are always some assets, some things you don't even know that you own. But only hackers with their good reconnaissance would uncover it. And there are always new vulnerabilities, new hacking techniques you don't even know about. So on a daily basis, there is an increasing of attack surfaces. And you have a shortage in terms of cybersecurity skills. Like you have your own developers, application engineers, but they lack basic security knowledge. They don't know they know how to build and develop, but they're careless about the security. And you also have inefficient testing methods, like you're doing your testing, but you're only using a Qnetics or using Burp Suite scanner, which is an inefficient method of testing, because like those scanners cannot uncover some kind of vulnerabilities, like the logical vulnerabilities that actually requires the human like mind to like human intervention. So these are inefficient. So the question was how Bug Bounty actually can help you throughout your SDLC. The answer is that Bug Bounty can help you through the different stages here. I'm going to explain how. For example, when you're talking about your risk assessments, the Bug Bounty actually can help you identify areas of highest risk and exposure, what I mean by that is that you actually get reports from different hackers. And you, for example, you notice that one of your functionalities you have built in your application is the most vulnerable one. So now you give it more attention, and it helps you actually recognize the area that is mostly vulnerable, or what kind of vulnerabilities you mostly receive from these hackers, and then you work on those. Also, Bug Bounty actually helps you reveal non-secure coding practices and some of the risks that are associated with some design architectures. I'm going to explain how. So, for example, you're building your application, you're building the password reset functionality, and the logic you built into your application is that when a user enters a valid email associated with an account, you display this message, hey, we have sent you the password reset link to your email. The second scenario is that when the user enters an invalid email that does not exist in your database, you just say, hey, this user is not existent. So this is user friendly, because I know my account does not exist on your application. But security wise, it's a really bad practice, because I can enumerate all the valid accounts. I can have like a mail list and brute force the password reset functionality to find all the valid accounts on your database. So this is like a design decision, which is user friendly, like you're thinking user experience, but in a security standpoint, it's a bad practice. This is one of the things that you're going to receive in your Bug Bounty program. It's going to like help you reveal all those non-secure coding practices and those bad design decisions. Also, the third one is uncover unknown security bugs and missing best practices to look out for during the development. As I said, you're going to receive a lot of vulnerabilities, so you're going to know all the kind of bugs that you should actually pay attention for when you're developing. So this actually may help you actually plan your training programs for your developers. So now you have all kinds of bugs that you are vulnerable to. So this is going to help you a lot. And you have a continuous testing and vulnerability assessment, just like I said before. You have hackers poking around your assets all the time. You get continuous security assessment as opposed to penetration testing, which lasts 1 or twice a year. Alright, so the interesting part is how you can launch a successful or a healthy Bug Bounty program. What are the minimum requirements you have to pay attention to or you have to meet? Alright, so the first one is really important. This one is very important. It's about preparation and logistics. You have, the first component is budget. You have to secure the budget because you're going to run a Bug Bounty program, which means that you're going to be obliged to pay bounties, to pay monetary bounties, and also you have to pay fees for maintaining and managing your program on some platform like HackerOne or Zerocopter. So you have to secure the funds, you have to secure the budget, you have to already pitch in the idea to your board of directors and get them to give you the green light. Then you need a managing team. And what I mean by a managing team is that you need to have people that are going to help you manage your program. And one of the important things is that you need to elect a leader. Someone who's going to be owning your program, who's going to be managing the program and making sure it's healthy and successful. And you need other engineers to help you with the program, like they're going to do triaging, they're going to pay out bounties, they're going to communicate with hackers, they're going to have to escalate vulnerabilities internally. So you need to have a team supporting you and show some commitment. This is important. The third one is you need a vulnerability management process. You need this vulnerability management process because you're going to have to escalate vulnerabilities internally. You need to communicate those bugs to the right owners, like to find the responsible developer or engineer. So you might actually already have this vulnerability management process in place, but just know that when you launch a bug bounty program, you are adding a new stream to your vulnerability management process. You are adding new bugs that are going to be escalated internally. All right. So the second phase is that you need to find a bug bounty platform. It's a cloud-based platform where you're going to launch your program and maintain your program. We have, you can actually run and manage your program in-house or have a self-hosted program like Facebook does, like Google does, but it's not really easy. Trust me. Like Uber, Yahoo, Spotify, Sony, they all manage their program on HackerOne for a reason. Because when you have to pay these hackers, you have to pay them their bounty. And they are from, geographically dispersed everywhere. How can you deal with all the tax forms? How can you, this is just one of the points, one of the benefits of running your program on a platform vendor. So also you have to keep track of the status of the report. You also need access to different stats. This is what these platforms are actually offering, and it's really hard to manage your program in-house. So my recommendation is to find a platform that's gonna help you manage the program. We have different vendors. We have HackerOne, the company I work for. They're doing great. I recommend them, but I'm not gonna be biased here. Anyways, you have Aboukir as well. You have Synac. You have Zerocopter. Zerocopter is based in Europe, in Netherlands, which is great. And those three are actually in the United States, but we have different customers from different areas of the world. All right. Then the important thing is you need to define the security policy. As my manager's manager, Adam, says here, this is a good quote. He says, the front door for hackers to any bug bounty program is the security page. I'm going to explain what that means. It means that when a hacker wants to hack on your program, when they want to participate in your program, the first thing they actually see is your security page, which lays out all those rules of engagement, things to do, things not to do, vulnerabilities we are interested in, vulnerabilities we don't want to hear about, like the SSL cookie thing. Anyways, yeah. And so, throughout the next slides, we're going to explore the different things you need to include in your security policy. The first one is you need a clear and well-defined scope. What I mean by that is that you tell hackers, hey, I only want you guys to focus on this or this. You want them to focus on your core application. You add it to the scope like app.example.com. And you want them to hack on all your subdomains, you add a wildcard, but be careful. When you add a wildcard and you just want them to hack on your core applications, that's your fault. So you have to be very clear and you have to maintain a well-defined scope. And the scope can have web applications, mobile applications, hardware, open source code. So this is an example of Twitter's scope. So Twitter, they say to hacker, hey, we want you guys to hack on vine.co. All the subdomains are included in this scope. Anything you find there, it's going to be eligible. We're going to pay you for that. They also have their Android mobile application below, and they have periscope.tv, which is an acquisition, and mopab.com. Anyways, this is how a good scope looks like. And if you're a hacker, you have to pay attention for the scope as well. When they say, for example, we only want you to hack on the core applications, don't go and hack on their subdomains, because you might end up hacking on their partners or third-party services they are using. So be careful, guys. Anyways, so also you need to add a qualifying and non-qualifying vulnerabilities. Like, hey, we want you to look for cross-site scripting, SQL injection, remote code execution. This is the kind of bugs we are interested in and would qualify for a reward. But we also have this list. This list we're not interested in. We don't want you guys to look for it. We don't want you to hear about it. So you have to be clear about the things you are actually interested in and you want to receive as part of your bug bounty program. Then this is the most important part. You should be transparent about your bounty table. And your bounty table should be, preferably be severity based, which means that, hey guys, if you find a low severity bug, we're gonna pay you $100. If you find like a critical one, we're gonna pay you $1,400. But it depends. If you just start your bug bounty program, you wanna start with the median bounty. Like the lowest they can get is 100 and the highest is $1,000. But then when your program is getting better and your scope is hardened and it's really not easy to find bugs, you would want to be a little bit competitive in order to drive hacker engagement to your program. You would go, for example, competitive bounty. It's in the middle. For the low, you pay $250. For the critical, you would pay $9,000. If you have a good budget, you have like really good secure application, you would want to go for top bounty. This would attract really good hackers. Because if I heard that, hey, I'm gonna be paying you like $500 for a low bug, I would definitely go hack on them. That would be a good return on investment. So this is important. You have to be transparent about the bounty table, and you should include it in your security page. Then, we talked about the bounty table, and I recommended you to be that you maintain a severity-based table. But how would you rate the severity? You can either use what we call the CVSS. I think you guys are familiar with CVSS if you are doing penetration testing. I don't know if you're using it, but it's very important. CVSS, it allows you to actually rate the severity of the bug. You have different parameters here that you can use. Anyways, I don't have much time, so I'm gonna rush a little bit. And also you can use the vulnerability rating taxonomy. It was built by Aboukir, which is really fits the bug bounty industry. And it has for a critical, it's P1, high P2. It's based on the impact of the bug. For an exorcist, it could be medium, as it could be critical. It depends on the impact. What you can achieve by that. And also this is important, define the security. You have to define your service level agreements, which means how much time you're going to need to process the submission, to process the report. For example, how much the time to first response, how much time you're going to need to acknowledge that you received the report. We recommend that you actually do it within 2 business days. Time to triage. This one is important. Okay, you received the report. How much time you need to actually triage it and confirm that it's valid? We recommend 2 business days, and then time to bounty. If you want to drive hacker engagement, you want hackers to hack on your programs, you gotta improve your time to bounty. Okay, you received the report, you acknowledge it's valid. How much time do you still need to give me my bounty? So we recommend that once you triage, you pay the bounty, or you pay half of the bounty, then you pay the remaining when you resolve the report. Time to resolution, time you need to actually fix the bug, it depends on how critical the bug is. For a low bug, it would take you a month is okay. For a critical one, it should be within hours or within 1 day. This is a critical. You don't want to take so much time. Anyways, finally, I'm going to talk about the legal safe harbor. This is a new thing we've been talking about in the industry. Shout out to Amit Elazari. She's a researcher that has been working on this thing to introduce it to the bug bounty industry. So what I mean by the safe harbor is that I'm going to give you the example, or I don't know if you have heard about this. So DJI, the drone maker DJI, they launched their program publicly, and they promised hackers that we would pay you up to $30,000 for a critical. Then this hacker, he found a nasty bug. He had access to their storage cloud, and he found some case in their GitHub, like they were public there, and he got access to their cloud, the storage one. And when he reported it, they actually threatened him with legal charges. So that's why the safe harbor is really important. You have to assure your hackers that nothing is going to happen to you as long as you act on a good faith and you're going to responsibly report the vulnerability to us. All right. So, yeah, the next phase is actually launching your program. But before you launch, you start small, then you work your way up. What I mean by that is you start with a private program. You don't just go and launch publicly. You're going to get hit by a wave of reports. So you start with a private program. You only start with 1 or 2 assets, your core application, the second one might be your second core application, whatever, I don't know. Anyways, and you invite a few hackers, like 10 hackers, or maximum 20 hackers. Then, and then you do your program scaling, which is the next phase. Like you've been running for a while now, and the next thing you should do is expand your scope. You have 2 assets now. You can add more assets to the scope now, and you increase your bounty payouts. Like if you want to still drive hacker engagement, make hackers be still interested in your program, you need to increase your bounty table. You started with the median, now go for the competitive payouts, like I showed you in the bounty table. Then you invite more hackers. And finally, then we have the program scaling. Now that you have a steady volume of reports, your developers are meeting the SLAs, you have sufficient budget, and you have an effective vulnerability management process, and you have happy hackers. I think you're actually now you're ready to go public, take your program public, and announce it publicly. All right, so briefly, and what I'm saying here, the whole purpose of this talk is I just want to say that I'm not against penetration testing at all. I think penetration testing is really important, but getting and receiving a continuous security assessment is very crucial. So guys, think about it. Thank you very much. You can tweet at me or whatever.
Awesome, thank you. Brilliant race to the end as well. Any questions?
All right, yeah.
Over there.
Do you think PCI is a good standard for credit card payments sort of checking?
If you ask me, I don't think actually it's a good standard because PCI, they only require the penetration testing once a year, unless there is a significant change. And one penetration testing a year is not really enough. You have the code that is being pushing all day on a daily basis. So no, it's not really enough. I think probably doing a penetration testing along with having a bug bounty program would be fine. Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Any more?
All right.
How do you protect this crowdsourcing bug bounty program from fraud? For example, the internal insider program that is leaking the bug to someone anonymous doing the crowdsourcing bounty program. And then this guy just uses...
Can you rephrase your question?
Yeah. How do you protect this crowdsourcing program from a fraud? For example, some internally guy just leaked one of the undisclosed bug to outside party. And then this guy just used this information to do the bug bounty program.
Internally, you mean
He means if somebody in the company leaks bugs, they know to somebody outside to get bounties.
Well, actually, I don't think that's actually a company's problem because the employee is supposed to have signed an NDA. Why would you leak it? I don't think there is anything we can do about that unless fire his ass out of the company. But there is no solution, to be honest. Yeah, that's a problem of the organization. The employees do not trust the organization. So,
all right. Any more?
I have a question here. Oh. Yeah.
Wait this time.
Yeah, this is a similar question to the guy at the back. Could you imagine a scenario where you get penetration testers in for 2 weeks and you pay them money, but then they keep the bugs they find to themselves, which they then submit to bug bounty programs afterwards, so you're getting a double payment? Is that a common scenario in the industry, or? That
actually could happen. But the thing is that again, just like as I said to him, the problem is with the penetration testing company. actually. I mean, they could file it as part of the bug bounty program and get rewarded for it. But I mean, ethically, it's bad. It's bad. But still, the customer gets the vulnerability through the bug bounty program, which is fine as long as it gets fixed. So it's a question of ethics. Yeah, that could happen. That scenario could happen. Yeah. That is true, actually. That happens. Definitely. I confirm that. Yeah.
All right. If you have any more questions,
right.
please talk to him afterwards. He will be
Yeah.
here.
Thank you very much
again.
Thank you.